You've seen this a million times, right? In anime, video games, comics, there's always that mysterious man in a mask. He's cool, he's a little dangerous. And then, almost every single time, the mask comes off, and wow, he is gorgeous. But why? Why is that a thing? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down one of the most fun and fascinating tropes in all of fiction. Okay, let's just get right into it. Seriously, think about it. You've got Char Aznavour from Gundam, Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon. I mean, the list just goes on and on. It's so consistent, it's practically a rule, isn't it? So what's the deal? Is it just a lazy cliche, or is there something much, much deeper going on with this beloved storytelling trick? All right, so before we can even touch why they're handsome, we first have to figure out what the mask is actually doing in the story. Because trust me, it's almost never just about hiding a face. The mask is a crucial piece of the narrative puzzle. Generally speaking, you can break it down into three main jobs. First, you've got simple concealment. Think of Char Aznavour, hiding who he really is so he can get his revenge. Then there's performance, creating this big, symbolic hero, like Tuxedo Mask does. And finally, you get the really interesting one, psychological defense. For a character like Jiritsa, that mask is literally a shield against his own trauma. Now let's go a layer deeper, because this is where things get really cool. This whole fictional trope, it has a direct parallel in real-world psychology, and it explains so much about why these characters feel so compelling to us. So the legendary psychologist Carl Jung came up with this concept called the persona. It's basically the social mask that we all wear. You know, the face we present at work, or with our family, or out with friends. It's how we want the world to see us. And these fictional masks, they're just a perfect literal visual version of that exact same idea. And you can see this so clearly when we look back at our examples. Char's mask isn't just hiding his identity, it's helping him build the persona of the perfect, ideal revolutionary leader. Tuxedo Mask isn't just some guy on a top hat, he's projecting the ideal knight straight out of a fairy tale. And Jiritsa's helmet? That creates the terrifying Death Knight, a personality completely separate from the man underneath. Okay, this is it. The moment you've been waiting for. We get the mask's job in the story, we get the psychology behind the persona, so let's finally tackle the big question. Why is the face under the mask almost always handsome? Turns out, it's not just one thing. It's actually a super effective combo of narrative needs. First, it fulfills our expectations. Come on, we're all secretly hoping he's hot, and we feel a little let down if he isn't. Second, that big reveal gives us a really satisfying payoff, a moment of catharsis. Third, and this is a big one, it's kind of hard to kickstart a romantic subplot without an attractive face. And finally, for better or worse, physical beauty is often used in stories as a visual shortcut for inner goodness, for heroism and nobility. But wait, there's one more secret ingredient that makes these characters so popular. A little technique, especially in Japanese storytelling, that makes them totally irresistible. It's something called the gap effect. The gap effect is all about contrast. Let's go back to Jiritsa. On one hand, his persona is the Death Knight, a terrifying, unstoppable warrior who lives for battle. But on the other hand, his true self has a little secret. He has a major sweet tooth. That huge gap between the intimidating mask and the cute, humanizing trait, it makes a character's appeal just explode. Of course, not every single masked man is a secret heartthrob. So what happens when a story decides to break that rule on purpose? Well, those exceptions are incredibly powerful, and they kind of prove just how intentional the trope really is. Let's compare two of the most famous reveals ever. When Tuxedo Mask's face is shown, it fulfills the romantic fantasy and confirms he's a hero. It's a swoon moment. But with Darth Vader, the reveal of this scarred, broken man is an absolute gut punch. It completely subverts our expectations to drive home the sheer tragedy of his fall. It's not about heroism, it's about loss. And then you get the ultimate exception, a character like V from V for Vendetta. We never, ever see his face. Why? Because his mask isn't hiding a man, it's representing an idea. The man himself is mortal, he can be killed. But the idea of freedom and rebellion, well, like he says, that's bulletproof. So, let's pull all these threads together. When you look at all the pieces, it becomes so clear that the handsome masked man isn't just some throwaway cliché. It's actually a really sophisticated and powerful storytelling archetype. I mean, from doing important narrative jobs to literally showing us a psychological persona, this trope is just woven into the fabric of good storytelling. The handsome face gives us that perfect cathartic payoff, the gap effect makes the character iconic, and even when the trope gets broken, it's done for a very specific and very powerful emotional gut punch. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you see one of these mysterious masked characters pop up in a story, are you going to be wondering what their face looks like? Or are you going to be asking yourself what kind of persona they are so carefully and so deliberately trying to build?